This is Roberto Martinez and you're listening to Followtonians podcast. Enjoy.
The last time I met you was for City Talk, but I'm actually here for my own thing, which is called the Followtonians podcast. About 4 years ago, me and a guy called Eric Hall, he lives in Kansas, he's American.
Right.
There was a lot of connections between his team in Kansas and Everton, a lot of ex-players. Paul Rideout went over there, and Preki, he loves Preki for some mad reason. So we got talking on Twitter and we said we wanted to start a podcast. There was no other podcast for Everton really anyway. So we started one, which meant me recording every Thursday night at 2 o'clock in the morning, which I still do. And we do that live as well on YouTube now, so people can watch it as we were doing it now. That goes out over iTunes and various different ways. And then that led me on to doing stuff for Radio Merseyside, and it's led me now to have my own show on City Talk as well. So, but this is like my bread and butter. This is the thing I started, and this is the thing like I'm really passionate about, because this is mine, and I can almost put my own views and everything else on it.
Excellent, brilliant. Well, I think I'll be as honest and as open as I am. I think we all share the passion of the football club, and that's what excites me. I would love to meet a bit more regularly, but I think sometimes it's difficult, because I think it's important for the fans. First, for me, it's important to know what the fans think, and second, the fans need to know why I do things. Everything we do is planned. Things come off, things don't come off, but always the direction is to achieve something long term. So it's great. So feel free. Any questions, fire away.
7 months to the day since you took over. Has the club exceeded your expectations?
Well, I'm still finding out. I think when I came to Everton, I knew Everton was a special football club. So I wouldn't say it's exceeded the expectations. It's everything I expected. A big football club with incredible tradition, with a special feel around Goodison when you play your football, which I always felt that as an opposing manager it was an intimidating place to come. And I wouldn't say it's exceeded my expectations, but it's excited me to find out more, and I think what excites me more is that the group of players we have, I think they're ready to take us into the next level, and that's probably what excites me the most.
Okay, yeah, go on. Might be quite a long-winded one, this. Apologies if I rattle on a bit. It's been widely acknowledged since you've taken over that you've dramatically changed the playing style, maybe a lot quicker than a lot of people would have anticipated was possible. Have you been surprised at how quickly the existing players have been able to adapt to your methods and what's been asked of them? The defenders in particular, given that there's such a style difference from the previous manager, who was far more direct, and I was always under the impression put the defenders under the instruction not to take any chances and to clear the lines much quicker.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. It's interesting because obviously when I started managing, I started at Swansea, and when I took the team in Swansea, it was a straight lines, 4-4-2, and it took me 6 months to change the philosophy and become a possession team. When I went to Wigan, because of obviously the financial implications that we had, it took probably 2.5 years, 5 windows, to be able to change the whole style and be effective with it. At Everton, it took me 7 weeks. So from the first day, and with the staff, we were so impressed. Doing things in training that it would take many sessions to repeat, here they would take it straight away with 1 session. I know we went to Vienna, played with Austria, and we conceded in the first action.
I remember it well. It was a square ball, wasn't it?
Yes, and that would, in any other dressing room, that would set you back a couple of months. And it was the opposite. The players were more interested in finding out why, because people get it wrong. Playing from the back, it shouldn't be a gamble. It shouldn't be a mistake. If it is a mistake or a gamble, because you haven't done something right. So there are very clear structure in playing from the back. What you're forcing the opposition to make a decision. Do they want to press them high up, which the gaps appear in the middle, or they allow you to have it, which you control the game straight away. And I would say I was so amazed how quickly the players took those concepts on. More from the experienced players than from the youngsters. I knew that the youngsters would be open, because as a young player, you're brave. You've never been damaged before, so you got you got a real good approach. The experienced players were the ones that they came on board, and centre halves that they were averaging 22, 23 passes per game. Now they're averaging 60, 65 passes per game. It's a huge difference. But if I'm honest with you, the game against Juventus in USA was the moment that I knew that we were ready to be flexible tactically and to change things quickly. I never changed things drastically. We evolved, and slowly we got into a position where the West Brom game at home was frustrating, but you could see that the things were coming together. The Norwich game was frustrating, the Cardiff game, but evolved into something special against Newcastle, and since then we never looked back. So it's a very interesting question, because it depends on the dressing room. How quickly you can impose a way of playing relies on the nature of the player.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the quality of the player, because some players, we're talking about 5-10 yards passes. Anyone can do that, but players are open to do it, others they're not open. And I was impressed with the dressing room straight away. In 7 weeks, since the day we started, the team was ready to play in that way.
Very quickly, second part to that question.
There's no rush, by the way.
Yeah,
right.
Excellent. Plenty of time.
Cool. But we're very much linked to that in the style. I'm interested to know who or what you would consider to be your major style influences. In terms of your philosophies on the game. Is it something that comes from your early years in Spain, or maybe the likes of John Dean or Brian Flynn, some of the managers that you had?
Yes.
Where has that come from?
It's a combination. I think the truth is the biggest influence in the way I understand the game was Johan Cruyff in Barcelona when he came in 1993. That's the best team I've ever seen play football. And when Johan Cruyff arrived, he changed the philosophy of the football club. And you're talking about a club that is not just a football club; it's a political vehicle to fight. It is. But to change things in such a huge football club, it takes a long time, and the start was really difficult. The first 6 months, they wanted Johan out, and it was a big situation for the chairman. The chairman stood strong, and then the style became very successful, and they're still getting the rewards now. And that really that made me think about the game. But obviously, as a player, I was a technical midfielder. All my managers that I had in Spain, they said, "You're going to England, you're going to last 2 months, you're going to come back. There's no way you're playing there, even in the lower leagues." So I had the opportunity to experiment with things. So with my background in Spain, in Zaragoza, I had a good education, and the way Barcelona played the game, I always experimented, and it's a combination of things that work in the British game, because we are a little bit. There are many motors of trying to put the ball in the box as quick as you can, put the ball in the corners. So it's just finding out what works in the British game from a possession way of playing background. So it's interesting. It's a combination.
Cruyff and Barcelona was the basis.
Yeah.
Were you a Barcelona fan as a boy living so close now?
No, I never been. I was a Zaragoza fan because I was born in the middle. My hometown is in the middle.
Right.
So I always was a Zaragoza fan, because my dad was a Zaragoza fan. And I ended up playing for Zaragoza. But then in Spain it's not enough. You need to follow Barcelona or Real Madrid. And all my friends follow Barcelona. And I was a bit more different. I was just Zaragoza. That's the team I followed. But obviously I'm Catalan, and that's a big influence. The team that you always see is Barcelona.
Cool, thank you.
You touched on Swansea and Wigan earlier. Everton's the first team that you've managed that you've not played for before. What was it like coming into Goodison Park and Finch Farm, having no sort of history within the club yourself? Was it a big leap of faith, or was there excitement there as well?
I would say excitement from the first day. I think the chairman, sometimes we don't see it from the outside, but the relationship between the chairman of the board and the manager is essential, and especially nowadays you don't get that sort of old-fashioned relationship where you sit down and you say, okay, that's the plan for the next 6 months, that's the plan for the next 2 years, that's the plan for the next 5 years, that's where ideally we want to see the club in 10 years. And that relationship was special straight away. I knew I could trust the chairman. He's an incredible Evertonian. It's just the amount of stories he told me about the club on the first day we met. It's just he amazed me, and I always felt excited having that strong relationship. And then every department that you meet in the football club is very professional. Everyone everyone makes you feel very welcome, and we are a unique football club in that respect. So I would say, to answer the question, is more excitement, and I couldn't wait to get to work, because I knew that it was a lot of work to be done, but exciting because with the amount of players that we had, with the level that they have, it was a new prospect really for me.
You mentioned Bill Kenwright. You've had British chairmen and a sort of chairman of clubs who have been fans before, so Wigan and Swansea. Was that something that was important to you?
Yeah.
Do you feel that if maybe Everton had been invested by sort of overseas investment billionaires, would you have maybe thought twice about the job?
Yes, yeah, 100%, because I always felt that as a manager, I'm always a person that I understand any football decision should be based on the long-term ambition of the football club. When you got a chairman that he feels the same way, it's very easy to work. And that doesn't mean nowadays finances are difficult for everyone, not just in football, every walks of life. So you need to understand that it's not about having a blank checkbook to assemble a squad. It's not that. But I felt that for me to be able to enjoy my job, you need to be able to be making football decisions, and that's what I've seen from the beginning. We in the transfer window in August, that was a real test. It's very easy to say things and then we put them into place. We got through that window, I feel, with leaving the football club in a very strong position financially, but then having a stronger squad, and that's down to having a chairman and a board that they are true Evertonians, and they'll make decisions based on what's best for the football club, which unfortunately now that's not the case. It becomes more a financial decision, and people are maybe in control of football clubs for the wrong reasons, without having that history and that background. I've been very, very impressed so far, and that's always something very important for me. I had it at Wigan with Dave Whelan. I had it at Swansea with Hugh Jenkins, which they rescued the club when it was on the brink of going under, and that's is the only way that a manager can be allowed to work and successful in the long term.
You've come from Wigan, which is rightly or wrongly seen as a rugby town, isn't it? Where the town is split between rugby, football, and rugby often gets the sort of the lion's share, certainly the press and all things like that. Have you noticed the difference in Liverpool and the intensity of the support?
Yes, but obviously remember that what you get as well when you get a town that is divided between rugby and football is that the football fans are really, really fanatic and passionate about it. It's not about the numbers. It's about, I always said, it's the quality of the numbers. Clearly, in Liverpool, at Everton is very much different, because we got an incredible history, and we should be proud of that. I always felt that having won trophies in the past and having that in our history is an advantage. I've seen it being in a club that we didn't have that, and Everton is more than just a football club. It represents great memories. I met many fans that all they remember is their life alongside the success of the football club, and it's a different setup. I think Liverpool, you can see the real rivalry with the other side, with the neighbours in the city, but is a different proposition. Wigan very much was a new club, making history every weekend, making different things that they would stay there forever in the history of the club. But I think with Everton is been part of the folklore of the British game and the tradition of a football club that for me is very, very special.
Yeah. Does that add to the pressure or just increase the challenge?
I think it increases the challenge. Is pressure nowadays is how much you want to put yourself under that pressure. I feel that for me the pressure to win with Everton is the same than winning with Wigan or winning with Swansea in League One. I think as a manager you just need to concentrate in having a team that he knows what it's doing and being as good as we can. So the same way you should be able to enjoy it. If you don't enjoy playing your football, there's something wrong. So I want the players to understand that they are the ambassadors of an incredible football club in the same way that they should enjoy that role while they're doing it.
I just want to go back to the way you started, the way you played, the style. You said about the senior players. I know Jack said that he was surprised after the first week. They never used to see a ball for the first week, but the first day you were kicking the ball up. Can you just go into a bit of detail about what you do? Because we get this football's gone easy life. They come in at 10 o'clock, they go home at 12, half 12. But what you do in those 10? Do you take the training? Does your coaches take the training or? Just give us a little bit.
Well, I think it's different. The season is divided in pre-season work, and then when you got the games, when there's the competitive part. So it's a big difference. In pre-season, the difference with my method is there are many teams that they work physically. They just work to try to get the athlete as fit as they can, and then they introduce the ball. I never believed in that. I always believed that you need to get the footballer fit. Footballer means you need to work with the ball. If just thinking, if you're going to go and do a run, the running action without the ball is going to use different muscle that you're going to do with the ball. So for me, it's pointless to run or do an exercise that is not linked to football and is not going to take you to be fitter. So what you get normally, and I got that shock when I came in '95, we used to do fitness exercises that they were nothing to do with being a footballer. It was more being an athlete and a runner. And then after 4 weeks, they throw the ball in, and then you have to get fit by playing games. And that's been always, for me, it's been something that hasn't evolved enough. As a footballer, you need to get fit playing football. That's just the straightforward answer, that if you're kicking the ball, you're not working the same muscles that if you're just running in straight lines. You don't see longer runs in a football game than 33, 34 yards, because everything is stop-start and moving around. So it's a completely different type of fitness. So the players were very surprised that they had the ball straight away. It's tiring, but it's enjoyable because you are with the football. So then you're thinking at the end of the 60 days, or we work around 60 sessions in pre-season. At the end of the 60 sessions, the perception of the players, we've done nothing here. But the footballer was fit. And I think they got a shock when they showed the fitness stats. The fitness stats, they were the fittest that they ever been after the period of pre-season. And that just is a different way of working, really.
And just to follow on that, you've said quite a few times, and you're always praising the players in interviews you do, about the players have got to enjoy what they do. Do you enjoy being a manager? I do,
but don't make a mistake about it. It's the second best feeling in football. The best feeling is being on the pitch and being able to make decisions and take people on and lose the ball and react. Being a footballer is the best job in football, but I do enjoy seeing footballers enjoying their football and performing well as a team. Is nowadays in the modern game, you don't get 4 defenders and a striker or attackers. Everyone has to be able to defend. Everyone has to be able to attack, and it's a team effort. And I think that's the biggest strength we got at Everton. We got that, and when you do that, you should be able to enjoy playing football, whichever the aim is behind it.
Do you think that by removing the underdog tag that the club are often associated with has made the players believe that they can go and win against the top teams?
Yes, I think you could be talking with the players as long as you want, but unless you got the proof, unless you get on the pitch and you really get success with the top teams playing eye to eye, you don't believe it. I think we had an incredible experience in the week that we played Manchester United away, and then we played Arsenal away, and the performances were magnificent. I know we got 4 points out of it, but we should have got 6. And since that point, and probably the Liverpool performance, I thought the belief grew into the squad. Everyone knew that we cannot play anyone as long as we we are good in what we're doing, we are ready to compete against anyone. And I do feel that those experiences, those 3 games, give us the belief that we needed to be able to be ourselves throughout the season. It was a little bit of a feeling that maybe we couldn't play eye to eye with these sides, that it was more of a different type of game. We could just try to win every opposition apart from the top 4, and then it would be more of being a bit more cautious. And I think we've changed that mentality now completely. I think when we went to Arsenal, the first 40 minutes of the game is as good as I've seen us play. And that mental block of playing against a top side and giving them too much respect, I thought we were magnificent. And that point on, I think the mentality's changed.
You mentioned the history. When you come into the club, you walked into a bit of a storm regarding the club crest and the feeling amongst the fans. Did that show to you how much importance the fans put on the history of this club and obviously things like crests that go with it?
Yeah, but in the same way, I always felt in football, everything you do in a football club is for the fans. So it's pointless for a football club or for an owner to try to do something to get some marketing values, to clinch a better deal somewhere. I always felt that the fans are the most important ones in any football club. So that's why I always wanted to know what the fans want to know. It wasn't a surprise what happened with the crest, because what I like is that the fans never accepted it, and they were outspoken, and they let everyone know. And as you can imagine, the first person that he was really upset about it was the chairman, and he's the one that he made sure that everything was going to be taken into consideration, and he was going to end up with a product that the fan was going to be happy. But that doesn't. I was happy with the reaction of the fans, but it doesn't surprise me, because that's the way I believe football should be run. Football should be run by managers and players understanding what the fans want and just do that.
So when you see the likes of Cardiff changing not only badges but kit colours, does that really disappoint you in football?
Yeah, I think that's just the big advantage I've got is that obviously I was brought up in the Spanish game, and I follow all the other leagues around the world, and what I love about the British game is that tradition and those strong values and everything we represent as Everton. When you see that that's not followed through in other football clubs, that really hurts, and that's an example that is disappointing, that obviously a marketing decision again gets above the history and what the fans believe they should be representing on. It is important that in the modern game, don't get me wrong, finances dictate a lot of things, but there are certain aspects that they should never be compromised.
Coming back to style again, it's a bit of an obsession of mine. Specific incident in the Sunderland game, the incident which obviously lost us the winning goal and Tim Howard to a red card. A lot was made by some people of what happened there, and there were a few fans and certainly some media pundits who accused of us overplaying, and there had been a couple of instances in other games earlier in the season, close shaves I guess you would call them. The Chelsea one springs to mind when Gareth Barry managed to intercept the ball. Personally, I absolutely love what we're doing here with the style, and I accept errors like that and I take them on the chin, and I'm willing to take another dozen of those and keep going with the philosophy. But how important is it that the fans remain calm and supportive if and when these little mishaps occur?
It's vital. It's vital because, forget about the style for a second, football is a game of errors. So you're going to have errors. That could be from the referee, from a player, from a manager, whatever it is, but you need to be able to react to it. I'm looking at the Sunderland game, second half, with 10 men, we had 15 shots on target, yep. And you saw a real spirit, and I was very proud of that performance. As a fan, I would be proud of my team performing in that manner. It cost us 3 points on the day, but I'll tell you, from that point until the end of the season, we'll get 3 times those points, just because of the way that we played. The action should never happen, because there are 3 mistakes in one action, and that's what we need to learn and get better. But if we don't go through those moments, we'll never improve. In the same way, that action gave us the opportunity to score against Stoke, to score against Queen's Park Rangers. Is you get a lot more from it than you lose. But I accept that obviously if the fans don't understand it, if they feel that that's a mistake that it costs you, you're gonna feel frustrated. But as a fan, you need to see that that's for a reason. You want to stretch the other teams. You want to find pockets. You want to be brave in possession, and that will give you many goals from open play, which is the hardest thing in football. And we've been very pleased with the way that we're opening teams up and the way that we're creating so many chances. So that's part of the process. But from that performance, I would prefer to lose 1-0 against Sunderland and play in the way we played in the second half than scraping a 1-0 win by the 33rd cross that he got into the box, hit someone on the back, and he went into the. Which means that those are the 3 points, yeah, but you'll never get anything less because you're relying on luck. You don't rely on yourself. So the fans should know that we want to rely on ourselves to achieve things, and to do that we need to go through a process.
Can I just jump in on that? I accept that mistakes happen and stuff like that. Do you ever speak to Tim Howard? I'm just thinking about. We spoke about it after the game. Said, well, you should just let him go in, and we would have won 4-1.
Yeah, but
do you ever? I know.
Yes.
You didn't mean to bring him down to give the penalty away.
Yeah.
But do you ever talk about things like that?
Oh, we do. Yeah, we do. I think he was disappointed that he didn't feel that it was enough contact to be a penalty.
Yeah,
and I think you need to understand that it's a reaction that you think you're going to save the ball. He never went down to bring him down.
No.
He tried to save the ball, and the contact, believe me, is minimal. I can understand how the player went down in that situation because he could have just scored.
Yeah.
I think it was an action that there were 3 mistakes in one, and it was a reaction from the team. And we've spoken about it, and Leon knows we got certain triggers, the things that you can do and you can't. And there are 3 things that we didn't do, and that's why we got punished. But we've learned from it. But the second half performance, I don't care who you're playing against in the Premier League, if you have 10 men for 45 minutes and you can have 15 shots on target in the way that we did, it shows you the spirit of the group and then the tactical awareness that they have.
Well, do you think that rule makes it easier for a player to go down like that?
Yeah, I think so.
You've seen it for Chelsea as well against Southampton. The player looked to go down instead of score because he knows the kick will be sent off.
Yeah, I think the Oscar incident, it really puts a question mark in terms, should we punish that action twice? If we punished with a penalty, that's enough. You shouldn't show a red card because otherwise it forces a player to say, well, I haven't got enough by scoring a goal. I want to get him sent off as well. It is the double punishment.
Is there a problem though? I mean, I can see both sides of that because I think certainly in instances where the goalkeeper just brushes a sense forward, that's one thing. But if you then do change the rule, do we then risk keepers taking swipes at players who are clean through on goal and potentially causing injuries?
Well, it's true. But I think as long as it works for both teams, do we want to see sending offs? No, really. No. You want to see 11 against 11, and you think, well, it's going to be the same in both boxes. I know that FIFA always looks at, we want to see goals, and the more goals, the more. Yeah, but you don't want to see sending offs in that manner, and I don't agree with that rule. I think it's double punishment.
I think last season something that the media made a lot of from the success at Wigan in the FA Cup was your utilisation of young players. You've come to Everton, Ross Barkley has been brought back in from being sent out on loan last season to starting playing a part in almost every game this season. John Stones has come through as well. Have you been surprised at the quality of the youth players?
Yes, yeah, 100%. I think when I say young players, I don't say young players in age. I'm looking at number of games that they've played. I've been very surprised with Seamus Coleman, that I think is gone to the next level. Ross Barkley, which I felt that in pre-season was a bit afraid to make mistakes. John Stones, obviously, I tried to sign him when I was at Wigan and I missed him out in the last second, and I knew that he would be a top centre half. I'm looking at even players in the under-21s now that we're sending. Today we send another 2, and that's a total of 9 players. To be able to send 9 players into the professional game, the work we do in the academy is terrific. I think Alan Irvine is got the right ideas in the game, how to develop in players, and we're doing a terrific job, and we need to carry on developing the youngsters. But when you've got a young player being able to perform in the manner that the Ross Barkleys and all the youngsters that we have, is down to the senior boys, because in many dressing rooms you could create an environment where the young boys are going to be blamed for making mistakes, or here's the opposite. Everyone is encouraged to make mistakes, but just take responsibility and just react well, and that's down to the Phil Jagielkas, Tim Howard, Sylvain Distan, Gareth Barry, Leighton Baines. Those players allow you to produce good youngsters. So what I'm excited is to keep that culture of the senior players setting direction, and I think as a football club we can create an easy conveyor belt of talent from the academy through.
Something that gets posted regularly on the forums whenever there's a match on is get George Green on.
Yes.
Have you seen much of George
Yes.
in the youth
Yeah.
team? And are there any that you think might be coming along and maybe taking a seat on the bench at the end of the season?
I think George, I call it is in stage 1 of the development. He needs to go through stage 2 and then just underneath the first team. I love George Green because he's a player that he relies on his talent. We need to help him a little bit, because to get into the first team he needs to master a position, and at the moment he's someone that will win you the game for the under-18s, but he's a bit of freedom, a free spirit, and that's just the talent that he has. But he's in stage 1. We got players now. I would say Tyus Browning, for me, is a centre half that is ready to play in the first team, and is going to go out on loan to the Championship. We got a talented winger, Matthew Kennedy, that needs to go out on loan, and he's got real good opportunity. Chris Long, which is another number 10 second striker, which is developing really well. We got the 2 boys in Yeovil on Shane Duffy that has done really well, and John Lundstrom, that again is a very talented midfielder. Conor Grant is a bit injured now, but he's got a great future ahead of him. And all these players, they're going to be professionals. So now it's down to them, really. If we give them the right environment, see if they can get it into the first team. And that's what we're going to create. If these players do the right things, they'll get opportunities. So they're going to be challenged step by step. Now they're going out on loan, and if they do well, they get opportunity in the first team, and then it's down to them. But we're going to create that environment. We got obviously Matthew Pennington who's going to Tranmere, and he did really well as a right back, even though he's a centre half in his debut. Hallam Hope is going to Northampton, and he scored in his debut. So we got a beautiful group that is flourishing well.
You kind of just answered that. Because the point I was going to make was that in the past, certainly in the last sort of 3, 4, 5 years, as fans we've kind of heard names and known that there was kids coming through.
Yeah.
But they kind of were hitting the glass ceiling. They were some were getting through, but some were appearing and then disappearing. Conor McCarthy came on at a couple of substitute appearances, and I know he's injured as well now.
Yeah.
But there was always a perception that there wasn't a great link between the first team squad and what was happening, even though you're all based here, which I think was what we were sold as one of the opportunities.
I think that's not us as a club. In the past, it's been, I've been a big voice on that. The boys, all the way until the 18s, is probably the best development structure that we got in the world. When they got 19 until underneath the first team, we are the worst possibly. It's not competitive enough. The under 21s it's not a league that is going to develop players. So then you need to concentrate and send them out on loan. When you send them out on loan, they're out of your control. Some will work, others they won't. So that gap is been a killer for the British game. And I think now we're changing a little bit. The Premier League are putting, the league is a little bit better, more competitive, so allows the players to play 6 months and develop as a group. And I think that's where we've been very fortunate this season, where we work with that group for 6 months. Now we work technically, and now they can go out. And I guarantee you that out of those, they'll become professionals. I don't know if they're going to get into the first team, but at least now we bridge that gap. Before, it was such a gamble. And I think that's just the British game catching up and getting stronger. I don't think it's anything to do with us as a club previously.
Do you have any personal targets? I know with Bayern Munich, I think it's for every 6, it's 2 in the first team, 2 in the league, and then 2 become professionals elsewhere. So as a club, do we have any targets for our younger players?
No, I think obviously, more than targets is stats that you look over the years, and that's how it's been working out. I think at the moment, obviously you're looking at the Ross Barkley situation. He's unique. For me, he's the best English talent we've seen for many, many years. But we should be able to produce 2 players in the first team every 2 years. That would be the target, and we're well on the way to achieve that.
Just linked again to the style with the young players, do you think that the new style is, you know, in reality going to help more of the young players here to break through? I'm thinking particularly in attacking positions. Again, under the previous manager, I always felt that if a young player had a certain work ethic or a certain physical stature, he had a far better chance of getting a game here than if he was a technical player who would maybe lose the ball 3 or 4 times and then not track back. You know, Ross Barkley being the obvious example. A lot of the people I know, we've been saying for like 2 years, the number 10 position is made for him. We can let him make his mistakes there. He can use his creative ability and kind of grow into the team. Whereas the previous manager, the number 10 position was really a role for a target man. As I saw it, he was winning second balls, winning cross balls. Do you think that style transition is going to give more of maybe the smaller young players a better opportunity?
Well, in that respect, I think they will never judge a player on the physicality and what they can bring. From that point of view, with Alan Irvine, we're trying to put a lot of attention on the technical ability. Remember, as a team, we want to be the team in possession. We want to be the team that has got the ball more than the opposition. To do that, every player, and that comes from the keeper to the striker, he needs to be able to be technically good. For that, it's not that you need a specific talent, it's just you need to work hard at it, and the development has to be guided into that. So we're putting a lot of hours. We're working in futsal as well. That has got a lot of good success for the kids, because you can imagine it's 4v4 in small spaces. The ball doesn't bounce, so everything is just technical gesture all the time, and it's important that we develop the players from that point of view. Is a lot of flexibility tactically as well. We want the players to understand different systems and different ways to play, but always with having in mind that we want to be the team in possession, and technically you need to be able to control the ball. So the physicality, it doesn't play a big part, because as you know, when you are 13, 14, 15, you don't know how strong, how big, how quick you're going to be at 21, 22. So it gives everyone a unique opportunity to become a footballer. And then when you are 21, 22, depending on the development of the player and the physicality, probably will reach a level where you can play in the Premier League or not, but you should be able to be a professional footballer.
I guess in that regard, Ross's stature is a massive bonus.
Ooh, Ross is unique. I never worked with a player that is.
You're excited.
He's got everything. Ross is just, normally you don't get what you get with Ross. With Ross you get the full package, from physicality, from the technical ability, ball fit, from the anything that you want to highlight as a player. Then you got the mentality. I never seen such a talented player that is such a listener. Normally the good players or the outstanding talent, they don't listen, because nobody can tell them things, because they're just so natural with it. They'll tell them that you want the ball in the back of the net and they'll do that. That's it. But it's just, I've been impressed the way he listens, the way he wants to improve. He takes things on. I played him in different systems, and he always finds a way to be effective. His personality will make him as good as he wants to be.
Just off the top of my head here then, do you think maybe in a strange kind of way the injuries that set him back have maybe grounded him in some way, in so much that there came a point when his future wasn't certain anymore, and you know he couldn't rely on being guaranteed to make it? Maybe.
I think every player and every person, you're probably you're a consequence of your experiences, and maybe Ross has that. I want to believe that his upbringing with his family is giving him the way he is. But maybe him not having it easy and not having it straightforward with the injuries, with having to experience first team football in 2 long periods, maybe that's helping to enjoy every single minute that he's having now. But I want to believe that it's more is genetic. I think is just a great guy with a great character and a great personality.
So you'll have to make sure you keep him then.
Absolutely. We've got no problem in guaranteeing that. Don't worry.
That's the word we want.
That's the headline.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll have a Tassimo out of Professional Player magazine.
While we're talking about style, are you aware that almost every man around the table is wearing brown shoes?
Yeah, I am, and it's different shades, Yeah.
I don't conform.
No,
so I don't
you're not.
conform. No.
Peter, you're not.
Did you know that was something that had been picked up on?
Yes, I heard. Yeah, Alan.
Hi, Roberto.
How are you doing? You okay? Good. See, I have, and it's just part of. It's good to see that people picked up on the uniform. I think they are the lucky brown shoes.
There's lots of Evertonians got given brown shoes for Christmas by their other halves.
Brilliant. I hope they get the right shade, because not all browns are.
Not all browns are equal.
They are not all lucky. There's only one shade.
Is it brogues or plain?
Does
it matter?
It doesn't matter. No, that doesn't matter. That's more
Laces
personal choice.
Does it matter?
Laces, yeah, it has to be laces. Yeah. More than anything, because after a month they don't look good enough if you haven't got laces.
Are you going to tell us what it's about? Are you going to wait till the end of the season to tell us what it's all about, the brown shoes? Or because you did say in a bit of an interview you'll have to wait until the end of the season.
Yeah, no, I said that we'll wait until the end of the season, and they asked me where they're from. I said I can't say where they're from, otherwise they don't become lucky. But I'll give them for charity.
Let's invest in that chain first before you. There might be a share hike when you tell it.
Can I just ask about?
Yeah.
Obviously I won't. I'd like to, but I won't. About putting the transfer market.
Yes.
And Everton being given a little bit of stick off the media for the loan players.
Right.
I think it's because we've got 3 fantastic loan players and they're playing terrific. Are you worried about that?
No.
Because, like, reading between the lines, and I'm not expecting you to answer me, I can see Gareth Barry signing at the end of the season because he loves the club. And it's amazing that a senior player who's won the championship and was player of the season at Man City loves this club.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So, the other 2 lads, we don't know. But if at the end of the season, the other 2 go back to the parent clubs, Gareth signs, are you concerned about that, or will you just continue to use the loan system?
No, I think it's very clear. I think the modern game has changed that. I think in the past it was about you having players on the loyalty of a long-term contract, and that will give you a security because you can count on the player. That's gone. Nowadays, unfortunately, you can have a player on 5-year contract, and if he wants to go in the next window, he'll let you know. And I just feel that doesn't worry me at all. I think it's something about the loans that I like, because it brings a freshness about the player that he comes in. He's got a point to prove. What it always is important for me is to have a really strong core of players that they represent the football club, and we've got that. Then all the add-ons, it doesn't worry me. I just want to have the strongest squad that we can have from season to season. If we lose the loans, all I want is to have great memories of the players that they've been representing the club, that they've been helping the club to move forward, and then there'll be other loans coming in. So there are positions as loans, no individuals, and then positions as core in the dressing room. When you got Tim Howard, Phil Jagielka, Sylvain Distin, Leighton Baines, and James McCarthy, Ross Barkley, John Stones, Seamus Coleman, even Brian Oviedo, Leon Osman, Tony Hibbert. That's what it matters. Then the other ones are players that they want to come in and bring something different. You got Gerard Deulofeu. Gerard Deulofeu is as talented young man as you're going to see in world football. It doesn't matter if we have him for 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years. Well, we want to have him. The question is 10 years or 1 year. That's not the question. The question is 1 year or nothing. Well, the answer is very clear. And I'm excited about it. We got the recruitment department is terrific. So I've got no problems of replacing loan players. So for the Evertonians, that if from the outside a jealous comment becomes, they got loan players, they're going to go and then you haven't got them, is the other side. It's more exciting. If a loan player goes, another one equally as exciting is going to come in. So as long as we don't lose the core players.
You've in the past at Wigan, you've picked up a lot of South American, Central American, the likes of Valencia, isn't it?
Yes.
obviously Alcaraz.
Yeah.
Was that because of your scouting network, or was it because of the money side of it?
Both.
Or a bit of both?
Both.
Did you find that the South Americans seem to settle better?
They do. And remember, South American is a big word. Every country, I think they bring different types and styles. Even in each country, you got two different of types. For example, Argentina, they got two different type of players: the real fighters and another more skillful. I always found that South American players, they fit in really well into the British game. It's always getting the right balance, not having too many of one type or another. It's just finding exactly what you need. Antolin Alcaraz is a clear example. He's a winner, he's a fighter, he's someone that the bigger the challenge, the bigger the response. He's played in a World Cup, Copa Libertadores, played for the national team, then he's won a trophy with Wigan, he played in the Premier League, and he played for Everton, and it seemed that he's played at Goodison for 5-6 years. That's a South American mentality. He's always having the right measurement on a player that it comes from such a different league can fit into the Premier League. And I've got a big advantage with the language. I can see a foreign player coming in that doesn't speak English, and you can feel if he's suffering, if he's adapting, if you can really get the footballer straight away and solve the problems they can have as a human being. And I always found that that's a really good advantage that they have with the Spanish speakers from South America.
You spoke about language there. A lot of fans noticed your reaction after Ross Barkley's goal against Swansea. Do you only swear in English?
Did I swear? I don't swear. It's just only in special moments.
It was a special moment.
It was, yeah.
Just a quick one on the loan players again.
Yeah.
Steve's pretty much asked my question word for word. One of the things I did note, though, you made a comment a couple of weeks ago with regards the comfort of teams like Barcelona and Chelsea and trusting Everton with their young players and being confident that not only will they get experience but the right type of experience. Now, in the past we've used the loan market regularly, and as you say, people really didn't make as many comments because that jealousy wasn't there, because we were bringing in players maybe like Dennis Strack-Wallersi, which, with the best will in the world, lovely boy, runs a lot, he could be delivering coal as much as playing centre forward for Everton. The fact that we're now able to look at another calibre of player, particularly the young players, does this make the loan market a far more tangible, ongoing concern to Everton than maybe more than filling a gap?
Definitely. I think it's a big area for us, because remember, we were talking before, when you got a young player, sometimes when you're developing a young player, there is a moment that player has to move on because he's not ready for the first team, but he's done everything at the club internally. That happens to us. That's why we're sending these 9 players away on loan. For example, Barcelona, they got exactly the same situation. Gerard Deulofeu scores 18 goals at championship level, but he's not ready for the first team because he's got someone called Messi in front of him. Then what are you going to do with him? Well, you're not going to send him anywhere. You need to send him somewhere where, okay, they're going to play similar way. He's going to have to understand the British League itself is a big pull for us. But then as a football club, I think we can give something that the player really needs to develop. And that's why we had a few big clubs showing interest on sending their youngsters in our direction, and that's only positive. I don't see that as a negative. I don't see that as, we can only have them for one season. Well, we shouldn't be concentrating on having them longer than that. It's just the opportunity of having them, and you never know. All I want is the players, when they come to Everton, and Alan Ball said it really well, when you experience Everton, that's there forever, and those memories is what I would love them to take back in their careers.
Is there any updates on Gerard Deulofeu's injury?
Well, he's doing well. He's doing well, but it's a worse injury that we thought at the beginning. Obviously, normally when you get a soft tissue injury, you get the soft tissue in the muscle. He had an injury in the tendon as well. The tendon doesn't give you pain. That means that you could start running and you start hurting yourself without knowing. That's why it's taken a bit longer than we thought. But we got a great relationship with Barcelona. They're very pleased with him. He's even put I think they told me put some clips in the internet, doing some heading, but we're hoping that it's going to be back at the end of January.
we all know that we're in the middle of a transfer window at the moment. As a manager, do you find that a transfer window helps you or hinders you?
It helps always. Every window is different, but this window, I was really concerned about this period of 14 days that we had 5 games. Nothing stretches a squad like that, and at the end of the Queensborough Rangers game, I realised that the squad is stronger than I thought in terms of being able to cope straight away. So what's important for me is that this window we don't lose the special feeling we got in that dressing room, and I think we need to bring 1 or 2, but being very careful that we don't bring the wrong one, that it could unsettle what we have. We got a special dynamics in that group, so we're going to use it in our advantage, and we know exactly what we want to do, and it's just a matter of doing it and making sure that we are ready for the second half of the season in a stronger position than we were. I know that sometimes you read in the press that we're not going to lose any of the top performers. I can guarantee you that in January it's not going to happen.
Following on from that, in some ways, could you see the logic then in just having one window in the summer that closed before the start of the season?
Yeah, I've got no problems with the windows because I know what they bring, the excitement, and it's part of the game. The big problem I have is having the window open when there are competitive games, because it's unfair. If you're a player and the agent is telling you that you've got 3-4 options, and then at 2 o'clock and at 3 o'clock you have to play football, it's wrong. And we had that situation with 3 games at the beginning of the season. There were 3 draws that I can guarantee you that could have been a lot better than that, just if the window would have been closed. And that happens up and down the country, in every dressing room. Is the nature of the game, and we need to stop that. I've got no problems. We could have 3 windows if you want, but stop the league. Do a window of 1 week, 3 times if you want, or however. But you cannot. It's unfair on the players to have them to make decisions about their careers while they are asked to play. Then you put players that they turn out and say, I'm not playing today, I'm not mentally prepared. And it's right. If mentally you're not prepared to perform, how are you going to perform? And we were fortunate that we never had a situation like that, but you see it in other dressing rooms, and talking about values, that shouldn't be in the game.
I think that's what we all struggle with fans, about players not wanting to play.
But it's not a choice. Remember, when a player says, I don't want to play, it's not a choice. It's like, because your head, you can imagine in your profession, if someone comes and says, look, you can take the family away and you can go to work in Australia, at least you're going to think about it. And then they ask you, look, now you need to play a football game. Well, I can't. You're not playing in front of nobody. You're playing in front of an audience and millions of people watching the game. It can really affect your career. That's how serious it is. And I've had it before. I had a player at Wigan that he came to see me. He said, I can't play. It's just mentally I'm not in a position where I can help my teammates, and you have to understand it.
It's funny because you're describing it almost as a positive, where we would see it as a negative. You know, a player not want to play, but I can understand the way you're putting it over.
Well, there are young people that they put under massive pressure, and then obviously at that young age, you if you want, social skills are not the same that they would be at 40 or 50. So you're asking at 20 years old to make a life decision, and then you see your teammates around that their careers are on the line, and you're thinking, I can't help them now. Mentally, I'm not prepared. And it comes across like the player doesn't want to play for the club. Everyone enjoys playing football. It's not a chore playing football. So a player would never say that they don't want to play football. But it's tough, very tough, and we should understand it, and the authorities should understand it. And it's not about having or not having windows. That's down to whoever makes the decision, but the player should never be put in a position where the window is open while they have to defend the football club. It's wrong.
I think is it Friday this month?
Yes.
So do you hope to have any business done well earlier than that?
Yeah. We hope that everything is going to be done. Remember, we got the 2 cases of Johnny and Nicky, that they are well documented, that we've been honest and upfront, and as long as the squad doesn't suffer and the football club doesn't suffer, something we need to look into it, because they deserve that opportunity, because they've been great servants to the club, and the World Cup is around the corner. But I don't expect the business to go into the last day. I'm very, very pleased with the squad. You're looking at the squad now, and there's very, very few weaknesses in that squad.
You mentioned earlier, I think a couple of months ago, saying you just wanted to replace Kone and Gibson.
Yes.
Is that still the case?
Yeah. I think replacing Aruna Kone is the priority, because Darren Gibson is surprising me every day. Is recovering well, and I think that maybe he could be fit for the end of April. So that would be a massive bonus for us. So that's the two. If you ask me what we should do in terms of the squad, is replacing those two players for the second half of the season.
Can I just ask then if I've seen no problem with Heitinga going, because we've got 5 excellent defenders.
Yes.
There, but I'm just concerned if Lukaku gets injured.
Yes.
And Nicky goes, we're struggling. So as well as someone for Kone, are you looking at 2 people if Nicky goes?
No, really, no, because remember, we always had Romelu, Nicky and Aruna Kone for that position, for that number 9. I think having 2 out of the 3 is fine. Obviously, Nicky, because of his situation, I need to be a little bit more, just assess what's going to happen. But it's more, if Aruna Kone would be fit, we'll have no problem with that. So it's replacing Aruna for the short term, because Aruna will be fit next season. And Aruna, I think he'll surprise the Evertonians. I think he hasn't been able to show what he can be, and that will be the priority, just replacing Aruna, and then we'll see what we're doing with Nicky. Nicky is a goal scorer. You don't get goal scorers in January, so I would love to keep Nicky, but I always I understand as well that the situation of him personally is something that we need to treat and we need to keep an eye on.
Nicky's obviously thinking about the World Cup in the summer. You're going to be in quite a unique position in the summer, in that you could well be the manager of the 2 best left backs at the tournament.
Absolutely, yes.
Brian Oviedo and Leighton Baines. How are you going to get those 2 to work together? How are you going to keep them both happy?
That's not my concern. My concern is when you haven't got top players, that becomes very, very difficult. When you got outstanding players like Leighton and Brian, I do think that they can play in the same team. I think the Southampton game, they showed that they can play together. I think a club like Everton can keep 2 players of that quality happy. We want to be a club that we go into more than 1 competition per season, so you need more than 1 player per position. And I think Brian and Leighton can even play in the same team, so I don't see it as an issue. Probably you having 4 centre halves now, and probably that's a bigger problem than the other one. So, but I welcome those type of problems. I love that.
I've just got one, just linking back a moment to what Graeme said. When he asked you about the players not wanting to play, and he used the word positive, you painted that in a very positive light. Psychologically, I think all of the fans have noticed that you seem to be an incredibly positive man. And some of the comments that you've come out with recently, I'm thinking as recently as the weekend with Nicky's missed penalty, and you somehow managed to put a positive spin on that a missed penalty was a sign of great confidence because he tried to chip the ball. Is this just the way you are, or is this part of your management style, in that you're asking the players to take such responsibility on the ball? You want to promote a constantly positive and confident atmosphere in the dressing room?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a strategy, if that's the word for it. No, it's the way I think the game should be played. If you want to analyse any football game, because you play with the feet, you're going to have errors and you're going to have mistakes, so you're not going to have perfect. You're not going to have the 100% perfect. So it's your choice. You can highlight the mistakes or you can highlight the good things. I just think that highlighting negatives, that's not going to take you anywhere, because you're not going to improve them. The negatives are there and they are there. I think it's just promoting the positives. You'll become stronger and better, and there'll be a moment that the positives will outweigh the negatives. So I always enjoyed about looking at the positive things and what that allows you to work into the next game. Highlighting a negative, I think it's just, I always said any negative that we highlight in training is a sign of a lazy coach or a lazy manager. You need to highlight the positive and work on that.
In certain circumstances behind closed doors, though, is there another side to that? Because one of the things I'm thinking is, at the moment everything's going incredibly well and everyone's riding the crest of a wave. sometimes when things aren't going so well and a team is in a rut, particularly after a bad performance where the players have maybe been perceived to not be giving their all, the fans like to think that the manager's going to go and tear a strip off the players rather than kind of just accept what's happened. Is there another side to your character in that regard, that you can dish out a dressing down when it's required?
Well, we had a few, believe me, that even if in the outside it looks that everything's going well. I think there are two big areas there. One is that we always want to be better and we always want to improve, and that means that even winning, there are things that you can improve, and there are things that you don't have to be happy. The same way, when you lose and the things are bad, you still got positives that you can work on. I've been fighting to avoid relegation for 4 years, so believe me that I'm used to working when the things are not going well in the outside, but you can always find a consistent line of working, and that's where allows you to be successful as a team. But internally you have to be, sometimes you have to lose your temper. What I don't compromise is when people drop the standards, and that infuriates me. But that's not for me to come out in the media and let everyone know, because that's not going to change. When you got, I'm very much straightforward. When a player drops his standards, I let him know clearly, and that's the way I think it should be.
Good. I know you and Graeme Jones, similar types of character, or is there a good cop and a bad cop? Or?
Well, we have. I think we are similar because we've been working together so long and we play together that we get to know each other and we understand each other. But we couldn't be further extremes, really. I'm a Mediterranean laid back, is a British on top of things, and it's quite black and white. I'm a bit more grey areas, so we are quite different in many things. But I think we understand each other really well, and we cover a bigger area together.
Good.
Can I just ask you, there's been a little bit of rewriting of history among some Everton fans about David Moyes and about his tenure here. I know some people didn't like him, but the majority of people did like him and what he's left with the club. Do you think you could have come into this club at any other time with what you've been given and done as well as you have so quickly?
Well, no, I think when you arrive into a football club, you realise straight away if a good job has been done previously or not. And I knew that it was a difficult job to take over David Moyes, but for me it was easier to take over David Moyes because the foundations were there and the platform has been there. And I've been in clubs before that you arrive and it feels like someone thrown a bomb and there's nothing left, and believe me, that's difficult. And probably on the outside you say, well, you've got nothing to follow, but it's harder to start from scratch. I just feel that the previous manager did a magnificent job here in the football club, and you see the facilities, every department, and you could speak with people at the club and they'll tell you that the day-to-day standards were really, really high. The mentality of the players, the characters of the players, they are magnificent. I think that's down to the previous manager.
It's been a season of transition from taking over from David Moyes. Did you ever dream that even in a transitional phase we'd be 4th, 5th, looking like we're still in touch with potential champions of the league at this point in the season?
Well, you're working towards achieving that. You'll never achieve anything if you don't work, if you haven't got that vision. You're not going to go to Old Trafford and win unless you're working towards that. You're not going to go to Arsenal and I'll possess them unless you're working towards that. So our work has always been in that. If you're asking me now, I'm disappointed the amount of points that we dropped. I'm not looking at what we've done, is how we can improve that into the second half of the season. I thought the 3 games in the transfer window period hurt us a lot. Then there are a couple of games that I felt that we should have found a way to get the 3 points. A Crystal Palace game away, probably at least a point against Sunderland. Not just because of the result, it's just because of the performance merited that. And I just think we've done okay, but we haven't overachieved. If you look at all the results, it's not that we were fortunate or we were lucky. I think the players deserve these points and more. And
if we'd taken your opinion on the 1st of August and the 1st of January, would they be similar?
In terms of
what you expected to what you'd achieved?
Well, I think in football you need to have a dream. I'm not a very realistic person. Probably that's a fault of mine. I'm not a realistic saying, oh well, the last 2 years you finished in that position, that's what you should. I'm not like that. When I went to Swansea, straight away I said we need to get into the Premier League, and obviously people were, he's crazy, we're in League One, and the philosophy got the club into that position. When I went to Wigan, I said we need to play in Europe, and everyone again, and we qualified for the Europa League, and I just feel Everton has to challenge for titles, has to challenge for winning the league, getting into the Champions League. It's not going to happen overnight, but it has to be some sort of a plan that we want to get there. Clearly the way to get there is being creative, being different to the way we play, being brave, and those are the ways that we've been playing so far. And I don't think we've overachieved, I don't think we've been lucky. The draw against Liverpool, I thought we dropped 2 points. So you got a lot of moments this season that we've been, if anything, we've been unfortunate, and that's what we need to get into the second half of the season. So I never guide myself by a realistic target. I guide myself by dreams, and as long as everyone works extremely hard, and believe me, at the football club we got that in every department. Everyone goes out of the way to get that extra percentage, and when you do that, dreams are possible.
You've already mentioned Gareth Barry, you've already mentioned Ross Barkley, but a big surprise I think most Evertonians this season has been James McCarthy since he signed. How much enjoyment have you taken from your Holy Trinity in that midfield? Yes, I think I love the Holy Trinity concept. I think that's something to try to aspire. I think James McCarthy, I'm pleased that he's adapted so quickly and so well, but he hasn't been a real surprise for me. I've seen him grow. He's such a young boy, but now we're looking at, in football terms, is someone that has been playing football for a long time. He made his debut at 15 in first team, played 4 years consecutively or 3.5 in the Premier League, having an important role. When he came to Everton, he had to step up, and when he came on against West Ham in the second half, I knew that he already taken his game into the next level, and he's still a man that is so consistent with what he does. I think people want to ask you what's his best attribute, and the best attribute is that you'll see James McCarthy playing the same manner in the FA Cup against Stevenage or against Arsenal in the Emirates, and he's going to be as ferocious to get the ball back and as composed on the ball in both situations, and I think that's just quite unique for a young man to have that sort of consistency. Is there more to come from him? Because against Swansea second half, you brought Leon Osman on, and I think it looked like you were pushing him a little bit more forward. We haven't really seen that yet. Is that another part of his game that can come out? It is. You can see the mobility that he has, and the second goal against Southampton show you a flash of that. He got a great timing in the box. He can get there. I just think that I love him in the partnership that he's developed with Gareth Barry. Is something that you can build solid foundations, and he can do a bit of everything. There's a lot more to come, but I'm quite happy if he can give us that for the next 5 years. I'll be delighted. I'm staying on the same player. I've got to hold my here to a big blooper on my part. I must admit, when we signed James, I thought that we'd overpaid. I do watch a lot of football, and I'd seen a lot of Wigan last season, and I'd seen James play, and for me, he seemed a decent player, a technically proficient player, but one of the things that his international manager Trapattoni had made a comment was he saw him as a very linear player, playing in straight lines, very simple balls, and that was something I probably agreed with, and I thought that he tended to operate on the periphery of games. He'd make an interception, but he seemed to really lack confidence to stamp his authority. Since you've signed him here, have you seen a growth in the player? Because to me, probably from the Newcastle game, I would say, it's been like watching a completely different player. No, I think it would be unfair. So I was just wrong. No, it would be unfair to say that. Remember that as a player, when you go into an international setup, you can only do what the way that they want to play allows you and the players you got around you. James is capable of taking. The biggest thing about James McCarthy is I divide players in thinkers and not thinkers, and we need to develop more thinking players. Leon Osman is another thinker. He's a brain on the pitch, and James McCarthy, he'll take instructions in and he'll adapt to what the team needs, and whatever you're going to play, he'll kick it on. Many people said against Southampton that Lallana had a quiet game. Well, Lallana had a quiet game because James McCarthy gave him a quiet game. Then if you want him, they want to be assisting for the second goal, is capable of, and that's James McCarthy. But I think James McCarthy is one of those that you need to follow in detail, and you need to see him work.
and I agree with you. I think the fee in the summer from the outside could be seen as a big fee. I knew that would have been 10 months down the line, that would be peanuts for what he brings and what he's capable of. But I still think that James McCarthy and Everton are a special fit. I don't know why. Maybe because of the whole concept of the way that the Evertonians see a midfielder. They love the composure and the technical ability, but they love the physicality and getting the ball back as well. I think it's a great combination.
You've witnessed firsthand, and you talked about consistency in play and aggression to get the ball back. You've witnessed firsthand as an Everton manager and as Wigan manager last year in the FA Cup, Evertonians' reaction to a player giving up on the ball when Marouane Fellaini turned around and shrugged his shoulders after passing the ball to a Wigan player. How important is it to you that you have that connection between the fans and the players, and that the players know that the fans want to see that sort of determination and
I think I've realised straight away that I think there's a certain profile of player would never fit in an Everton shirt, and I think I know that. In the same way, I know that the Everton fan appreciates style football, and the school of science is a big concept, and I was very aware from the beginning that there are certain players that they couldn't fit in Evertonians' way of playing, and I feel that we got that sort of a squad. That's why I think we are. Sometimes you always got one or two players that the fans are not too keen, and you feel that they do a great job for the team, but the fans don't appreciate it. I think we got players that the fans appreciate. Obviously, you can have your favourites and the others that you don't favour as much. But every player in this dressing room fits in what we feel that the culture should be at the club, and that's something I had to learn quite quickly.
Something that surprised a lot of people is how quickly Antolin Alcaraz has blossomed in an Everton shirt. Like you said before, he looks like he's played for Everton for 5 or 6 years. He's played 3 games on the bounce, I think, and just looks like he's been playing here his whole life, and that surprised a lot of Evertonians and pleased us.
Yeah, obviously, remember that Antolin is a player that is quite unique. I brought him on a free transfer to Wigan, and that's just because it's the way he is. He wants to, he sets himself for a project. He fights for it, and then he wants the contract to run down, and then he moves on. He's not the typical footballer that is doing something, waiting for a new offer coming. And when he came to Everton to get a free transfer with the quality of Antolin, for me it was invaluable. But I knew that many Evertonians would say, how can we have a free transfer from a relegated club and to give us something into what we are? And the truth is that Antolin is always that sort of performer. Whatever the game, is always calm and composed on the ball. He's got his lines of passes very clear, and then as a defender, he's never afraid to be 1v1. He's outstanding in the air, and he's got that know-how or arrogance that playing in a World Cup and Copa Libertadores with Paraguay, different styles. South Americans just play 1-to-1 everywhere in the pitch, and they come here in Europe, and that's a big plus. But I hope that the Everton fans now they start seeing the reason of Antolin being with our squad.
Just on that, you may not be here as manager if Antolin would have been fit all the season. Joe Parkinson said to me if he would have been fit all season, Wigan wouldn't have got relegated. No,
but I think after 4 years it was my time. But I do feel that if Antolin would have been fit, we would have had enough points. Because remember, it's not just relegation or not. I always look at points tally. We obviously in the last season, 4 years ago, I think Wigan stayed up with 36 points. Then we had 42 and 43, and then the last season was 36. Antolin fit would have been 45, 46 points. That's what it would represent. Remember that on top of Antolin, we had Gary Caldwell and another 2 centre halves. So then it's not just a small gap; it's a huge gap. But that was how influential he was.
Messi or Ronaldo? You have to choose one.
Do you? Do you have to choose?
To pick one, yeah.
Oh, I would keep Ross Barkley. They are different types. They are different types. I think the way we are at Everton.
Just from a pure football perspective.
Yeah, I think Messi would fit in better.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah. because we got the strength through.
And in terms of Everton's mottos, tags associated with the club, School of Science or the People's Club?
No, School of Science.
Good man.
100%. 100%.
That was a leading question.
Yes.
If we get 3 points on Saturday, would it be a bit weird having 41 points in January?
No, really, no. Is the problem I don't see. I'm always looking of what's next, what we need to catch next. I think it'll be nice because with 41 points you've achieved one aim, which means that everyone is you got another year in the Premier League. But this year we need to fight for.
Have you got a points target at all?
Yeah, I do, but I don't want to say it because then otherwise it loses its magic. But
points.
we need to have. Yes, no. I've got a clear target for this season. Yeah.
You've won away at Old Trafford. You held Arsenal. Can we win away at Anfield? Please?
Well, I think it's a great Merseyside derby. The truth is that's the word. I think the derby should be about the two teams fighting to get in the positions to win the league or get into the Champions League. I think that's the type of derby that we all benefit. But I think we've shown that we are capable, or we've shown that we're not going to go anywhere in the league to get a draw. We're not going to go anywhere for a damage limitation. And we feel that we're going to go to Anfield to be ourselves and to try to control the game and try to win the game. But at Liverpool, they've been doing really well this season, and I think that's what derby should be all about. Two teams going for the best possible aim in the league.
It's not really a question. I just wanted to say you might have picked up a bit. You might have certainly picked it up in the street outside, but what you've seemed to achieve that if you're on the pitch this season has brought a magic back to the place, and a magic that has been lacking for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about. I'm talking about winning games. I'm talking about the way games are won and that certain specialness which I think we all want. Mm-hmm. And I've got an 11-year-old son, and to bring him now into this thing is. And I took him to I took him to United, and I took him to. Right. I said to him, "You don't realise how lucky you are watching this and seeing this develop." So I think that. In terms of what you're trying to do, you're pushing on an open door here, and I think that it's most welcome.
No, thank you. But I think is the perfect fit, because I always believe that when you got 9 league titles as Everton, that can be a negative. That has to be an advantage, and I think everyone is ready to kick on and football is not about finances. I know that everyone will tell you about that. We need to this. It's not. As long as the whole football club knows what we're doing, you can match finances, but you need to be a bit more patient. You need to have a clear direction. The quality of the youngsters allowing us now to compete quicker than finances would do. But I just see us being able to compete against anyone in the next few years.
And one thing, I can't let you go without getting his autograph.
Oh, absolutely, yes, no problem.
No, just to go on that, it's the feel-good factor. It's not about the points. I remember when Joe Doyle came, we were right down at the bottom. We beat Liverpool, we beat Man United, and all of a sudden they're above us, but we're walking around as though we're great.
Yes.
And we weren't, but it's the feel-good factor, and we've got it back again. Mm-hmm. You know, David Moyes brought it back to us as well. You know, I wouldn't knock the man.
Yes.
But like the last couple of seasons, I mean, it's great. But you've certainly the feel-good factor is back in the city. We rule again.
But just coming back to, I think the thing everyone dreams of here. I mean, I've been lucky enough to see us win a trophy. I was at Wembley in '95. Everyone hopes that finally we can win something again. And I'm a realist. People are talking about top 4 this season. Personally, I believe the squad size of the other teams we're competing against will ultimately, come through, and that will be a bridge too far. But I think in the past under David Moyes, and I mean Peter did make the point about critics, and I've been a big critic, but it would be wrong of me not to admit that David Moyes did a brilliant job in the transfer market, making us a professional club, a hard-working club, a club that were guaranteed of a certain level, which you could maybe say was top 8. But one of my big frustrations was I've always seen the cup competitions as this club's most tangible opportunity to actually win something.
Right.
And the game against your Wigan team last season in the quarter-final was a perfect example of where I thought David Moyes' core philosophy let us down, because on the big occasions when the players were put under big pressure, it seemed to me that, you know, what they had to fall back on, which is what they trained every day, was not football. So as important as it is in terms of creating opportunities by keeping the ball, also taking the pressure off a game, controlling the play. Do you think that, for example, the 09 Cup final, which Everton lost to Chelsea after going ahead, the semi-final that we meekly surrendered to the enemy after going ahead, do you think the new style in those same situations could bridge that small gap to actually allow us to win something?
Well, I think I always say being ourselves. What I mean by being ourselves means that whenever you go on the pitch, it doesn't matter if you play at home, away from home, winning 1-0 up or going down 1-0. We got a way of playing, and we'll always do that. So it's not that we're going to be better equipped, it's just we're not going to have any different. So I think as a player, the difference is when you say, look, everything we've been doing until now, today, we're going to just change it and do that. That's very difficult because you're not good at it. You're trying something new. We need to be fantastic in what we do and always be the same. And all the big sides, they've got that feeling. If you see Arsenal, it doesn't matter where they play, they always be the same. Barcelona, they always be the same. And we can be the same. That doesn't mean we're going to win, lose or draw, but it's not going to put us in a position where on the day
we freeze.
Yes, no, we're going to be ourselves. That's the only thing we need to do. And we've done that so far. We on the big games, we've been able to do that. And that's given me the sign that we can do it with the players that we have. It's not that we need to change the mentality or the personnel, not at all.
So the previous away record that we had, which obviously you would have been aware of when you came here at the top 4 clubs, kind of the things that we're saying now about this pressure in the big games, and you know when the club got a lead and the inevitable wave of attack came, could you link that very much to that philosophy of not being comfortable on the ball on those big occasions?
Remember that in football the hardest thing to do is playing with having something to lose. That's a feeling. If you get 1-0 up, all of a sudden you got 3 points to lose. If you're playing Wigan at home to go to Wembley, all of a sudden you got that's a mentality that it affects everyone. That affected Spain in the Confederations Cup and affects any team that it goes into a game expected to do something. That's why we need to change that mentality, and we're ready just to go into the game and do what we always do and enjoy our football. When you got that approach, doesn't matter what you're playing at, and that's what we need to try to get away from. We expected to win against Queen's Park Rangers. I know that people think it was an easy game. Queen's Park Rangers was a really difficult game. If we would have found it that how are we going to break them down, or what happens if we lose, and we made 5 changes. Well, we made 5 changes, the team played well, we enjoyed, and it was 4, it could have been 6, it could have been 7, but that's a mentality we need to bring into. Doesn't matter who you're playing against. Brilliant.
Thanks very much.